Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Splash. I'm Charlie Newton, your teaching artist for today, and I'm so happy to be here with you one more time for one more free art lesson. Today, we're going to be looking at the portrait again, but this time we're going to do a profile. And so I just want to show you, I guess, a basic way to do a profile. And I'm not going to do it the traditional way. I may start off the traditional way, but I'm trying to move into the way I actually draw. And everybody will have their own way of doing it. Of course, you have your own way of putting things down. And we've done a lot of, over the years, we've done a lot of faces, and most Splash kids know how to outline the face and everything. So today I really want to look at the shading, and I'm going to use some very dark pencils. I'm going to use a 6B, a 4B, and I'm going to use a HB for the shading. So let's look at the lights and the lighting, and look at the shading, and let's get started. So I'm going to start with my HB pencil, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to imagine the size that I want this picture to be. And so I'm going to just kind of sketch out the profile. It's right now I'm doing sort of a gesture, a quick gesture, not gesture. I'm sorry. It's a gesture mixed with a contour. So I think I need to get the angle of the face, and the face is about this angle here. So you could draw a line so you can get the angle. It's sort of like his head is tilted. And as you can see, we're using a plastic bust. It's very, for me, it's very difficult to do tilted heads. So now I'm just going to go back and start with the profile. Now I'm really doing a gesture, but I'm still doing a gesture using a sort of sketch. So not a gesture, I'm sorry, a contour. And what I mean is that as my eye moves, my hand moves. I'm trying not to look down at the paper too much at this stage of the game. I'm trying to look close. So when you're doing a portrait, there are certain characteristics that you will notice in the person's face that stand out to you, and you want to make sure that you get the feel of that portrait. When you look at it, what do you feel? How does it feel visually? And that's more important than the contour. The contour is important, but what's most important is that it feels right. And everybody sees things differently, by the way. So I'm drawing up and down the picture and making changes now, because it's more difficult to change a profile. So I think I'll use that profile. I'm going to draw this top eyelid, the space between where the nose turns out and the brow. He has a shortened forehead, so I'm making sure I get that. So whenever you're drawing from life, and this is a still life, I consider this a still life, but this could easily be a person. Of course, a person will not hold this still. But whenever you're drawing from life, you're going to have to make changes within your drawing while you're drawing. It has to fit together. It has to make sense how it fits together with what you're seeing. So I'm making little minute changes now. I'm bringing this top lip in. So this drawing is based on the contour. So my approach is like I would approach a contour drawing. The contour drawing is for practice, but it can be used. So I don't need this line here. I'll never need that. Matter of fact, that could get in the way, so I can erase that. This could get in the way later, so I can erase that. Then dust it off. So my paintbrush has paint on it. I used the wrong brush, I guess. Thought I had a black brush to do that with. No matter. So as you can see, I already have the profile pretty much down. Where this lip ends is very important and falls like this. Make the chin smaller. Every time I look, it looks different. So I'm just going to make changes now. Now I'm always, the way I do it is I sort of touch the picture with my eyes. I touch the figure, the face, the model or whatever. I touch them with my eyes, and I make adjustments. Like I said, I really want this to feel like what I think I'm seeing. See that minor adjustment there, and the hairline is going to start here. So not here, but here. The bottom of the ear, I'm measuring the bottom of the ear and the top of the ear, closing one eye. Top of the ear is about right here. The back of the ear will be from the bottom of the eyebrow to the chin, that length to the corner of the eyebrow. That may be the back of the ear, around there somewhere. I'll do that again. Yeah. Should be around here. So I'm measuring everything or lining up everything. So on this plaster bust, the 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 back of this ear is cut off, but I know it's rounded, so I'll go ahead and round it off. That's the bottom of the ear here. Now, by practicing on people or on models, you get a chance to practice drawing the ear. Now, I would study an anatomy book, because this model, this ear is not quite what I think it should be. This area here at the top, there's a little indentation here for everybody's ear. And then there's a little something here for most people's ear. This model don't have much of a lobe, and you see that's prominent too. Now for the back of the head, I'm not going to do the back of the head today. Maybe one day we'll get a model in here. I'll draw the model. I actually believe that I could draw the model better than I can this bust. I don't know why, but I believe I can draw a model better. I just need a straight edge here. So I line my ruler up, and I think this is about the angle. The head is round, so this line wouldn't go straight up, it would curve. And you can see the edge of that plaster a little bit too. See a little bit of the back of the plaster. I'm still using my HB pencil. So see all these lines are changes that I'm making. So I actually measured where the neck begins to turn down from the jawbone, and it's about round in here. So I put my pencil up against the actual model like that. I held it up, closed one eye, and that's how I got that measurement. We call that measuring. You might call it lining it up or something, but we call it measuring. See if I can find a brush that's not so dirty. Okay, so now I'm basically ready to start shading, and I'm going to start shading with my HB. I just happen to like, you know what? I'm going to start shading with my 4B because I want to get the darker shades in so you can see what it looks like. I want some bolder shades. So I'm going from dark to light. Normally I would go from light to dark. I wanted to use a 6B, but I may not be able to. And a lot of times when you're drawing, just stop and ask yourself, what is it that I see? What am I looking at? And try to answer that question before you make the line. So we use these models just to practice. Practice make perfect. See, I'm gonna make that top of the head turn down some more. So this is a bust of a black person, actually African, and so we see that you can tell there's an African person by the features. I keep changing my mind. I'm going to go ahead and draw the pedestal. So I'm looking at the darkest shades now. And that's all I'm drawing. I'm only drawing the dark shades. I have this is my 6B pencil. Gonna pick up the 4B. This paper is a mixed media paper, so it has some texture. So that means the lines will go dark fast. So I hope you see how I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing anything. Because it's easier to not put a mark down that you don't want. Okay, you can notice I'm using this paper towel to keep my paper clean. And I'm going ahead and using my very soft lead, my 6B pencil, to just sketch in the shadows in the front of the face, because the light, remember, is coming from the right hand side, the front right hand side. And there's more light hitting the right hand side of this bust than the left hand side. So again, I'm working backwards. Instead of going from light to dark, I'm going from dark to light with this one. So the value of using a plaster bust that is white is that you can get the turns of the face correct. You can see how the face turns, how the skull turns back, like on this forehead. And it's laying flat there, so I'm going to shade that area because there's less light hitting that. The light coming in from the left-hand side is more frontal, and so the hair is casting a shadow there. So my shading actually flattens that out. So I can just use my H pencil here. For some light values. So the front of the face is more in shadow. And by shading the front of the face like this, I can maybe get this profile to turn in space to get a volume, a 3D volume. But remember again, my hash marks are describing the landscape of the face, the lumps and the bumps and the valleys and the ridges of the face. A few weeks ago, we drew a skull, and you could see what's happening under the skin. It might be important for us to go back to the skull and maybe do a profile of the skull, and then come back and do another profile. So this is just practice, okay? The top lip is a little darker than the bottom lip because of the way the light is falling. And you can't see these details, these type of details with a live model because the skin tone, the brown skin tone, would sort of mask a lot of the shapes that's in the face. The shapes come from the skeleton being underneath the skull, underneath the bones, underneath, and the way the skin folds over those bones. Like that little corner of the mouth, that's the fold of your skin there. It's amazing. The human anatomy is pretty amazing. The way we're made. You can touch the corner of your own mouth and you can see how that folds in. You can learn so much about drawing a portrait by touching your own face in certain areas. Again, different people would do this slightly differently. I tend to use bold strokes when I paint or when I draw. So I'm really trying to hold myself back here. But I know some artists who their drawing would be very, very smooth. And I could smooth this drawing out with a stump, but I don't want us to use a stump yet. We can use the stump when we draw in charcoal. That neck turns. It's a round. It's like a tube. So by shading this front part of the neck here, you can see that the light is hitting the back of the neck, and we can begin to see that that's not a flat shape, but a shape that turns. And then there's less light hitting the bottom here of this plaster bust. So I'll just put that shade in and shade under the ear. I'm really trying to decide how much of this I'm going to shade. So again, we can see everything, the different values and the graduation of grays, the variations and gradations. And what we're doing, we're drawing using hatch marks, actually making a notation to ourselves. Now in the hair, we know that the hair is curly, and I don't know how much of this hair I'm going to do, but I'm just using my 6B pencil to begin to indicate some of these valleys, peaks and valleys in the hair. The hair is not straight, it's curly hair. I don't know how much I'm going to do, but it's going to be important to know when to stop. Again, since the light is coming from the rear, right, almost rear, then the front of the hair is going to cast a shadow here. Where the sideburn is, that's casting a shadow. And the flat part of that head here, this white area is not flat. It's round because you know the head is round. So I need to remember that in my shading. You can think about if you were shading an egg, what that shading would look like. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. Now I changed my pencil to hold it like I'm drawing so that I could use the point of the pencil. I'm just going to clean up some areas here with my kneaded eraser, because some of these lines I won't need in the future. I'm setting this picture up for some drama. I'm going ahead and go with my HB pencil to shade this area here. I really don't want to use my ruler that much, but some of these lines need to be a little hard. And I'm using the point of my pencil for that. I don't want my picture to be too clean because it could become sterile. And I don't like sterile pictures. I like pictures that show the artist's hand. And I want to see the linear quality, the beauty of the lines, the beauty of the lid. And I want to sort of tell a story with the lights and darks and the line variations. Remember to vary your line. I know it looks like the line on the front part of the face, it looks like one line, but that's actually a shadow. And maybe later on it'll make more sense. I have to be very careful about how much hair I draw in. You don't have to draw everything. It's nice if the eye can sort of travel across the page and the picture and find some nuances of technique. If the person looks close, what would they see? It should be just as interesting close up as it is far away. Again, remember that there's a shadow that's cast. And how can I make this area appear to be round, have some volume? This jawbone has you can see a slight shadow under the jawbone, so I want to make sure I get that. And there's some more shadows that help describe the side of this face, because the side of this face is not flat, it's round. So there's shadows underneath the cheekbones. But how much of that am I going to draw? I'm not sure. I'm going to draw as little as possible, just enough to indicate that this figure is not flat. So I get my my 2H pencil and my HB and play around with it. I'm going to need a darker pencil. I'm going to probably need to go at some point get my 6B pencil. Maybe I'll continue to use my 4B, but I'm going to have to make some decisions about where to go dark and where to allow light to hit. But I'm thinking that around the eye here, there's a indentation there because there's a socket. Remember when we drew the skull, there was an opening, a huge opening where the eyeball sits back in that socket. So how can my shading sort of reflect that socket? And this skin folds back over the nose here. There's a little area that I'm going to have to clean out a little area between that line and the nose, and let some light hit there for drama. And I can use my kneaded eraser to do that. I can shape the kneaded eraser to a point and go back in. Now I'm going to redraw this. I'm going to leave that straight line. What I don't need, I'll just leave. I think this is about it right here. I get my soft leads. So that's just a little small detail that it's fun to do. Some of these little details that you see. So I'm drawing what I see, but I'm also trying to express what I feel at the same time. I would do the same thing with a live model. And you just have your pencils and you just keep switching pencils. Whatever pencil works for you. A lot of times I'll confuse the pencils because I'll go by instinct, and whatever mark I make, I just use it. And I'm trying not to do that with you guys. I really don't think, as much as I'm talking, I don't articulate it in my mind when I'm drawing. I'm going on instinct when I draw. And my instincts will tell me something different than what I'm telling you here. But when I'm showing you here are the basics. You get the basics down, and then you can now be creative. But it's difficult to be creative when you don't have the basics. Again, I don't want this face to look flat. So, again, I'm going to now draw this shadow that the hair is casting, the head, the shape of the head, and the afro is casting a shadow in front of that sideburn. So I'm going to draw that. And use my 6B pencil to make some very dark lines scattered around. And you see me going back and doing that more often because the lines have to flow. See, I'm thinking oval now. And this part is coming, this frontal part here is coming toward me. So I'm going to draw around it. That's why I'm drawing in a circular fashion, just like the bust, but I'm not drawing every detail. Just the amount of detail that I think I need. I'm trying not to draw what I don't need. Because if I just draw every detail, it will be sort of boring and trite. So I'm trying to express the way I see things with my drawing. And that's the creative part of what you're doing. So I want to choose my pencils wisely. I think I want to go to my soft leads now. I'm just going to put away my hard leads and pick up my soft legs, my 4B and my 6B and my HB. And look, I'm looking at the darker lines because that's what really describes what's going on as far as the weight of the things. And this, I'm using my 6B to cast that shadow there. I'm going to cross hatch. Remember, cross hatching flattens things out. And I'm going to cross hatch again. So I'm cross hatching in a different direction now. There's also a shadow cast over here on the left hand side, and that value is not quite as dark. So remember I said that this is going to be all about the shadows. So the shadows can make the drawing. If it's about the shadows because it's about the light. About focusing on shadows for drama. Just using my HB here. And you notice I try to stay loose with my drawing. I don't use rulers much. I'm using ruler more here than normal. And I'm going to use the point of my pencil. That separates the background from the table. So I can now cast shadows on the table and on the background. And it's just a weird looking shadow here. I think I'll cross hatch this too. Flatten it out. Remember I use cross hatching. Cross hatching will flatten out shapes. If I flatten this out, it may push that base forward. Yeah, I think that's it. I think see there? It sure did. I'll allow this shadow. I just love complex shadows, and that's why I have more than one light source. And in reality, you always will have more than one light source. Usually in art class, you have one light source because it's the simplest way to draw. But that's not what you see in real life. I think I want to draw a dark line underneath this base to show that it's sitting on the table. That's just a device that I use. I'm using my 6B. I'm going to shade the background. You can see the shadow cast on the background from the shape of the head. And I'm going to draw the right side first. Then I'm going to draw the left side. And then I'm going to go back and shade the right side again. So see how I'm holding my pencil? I don't have to spend a lot of time doing this. And I'm using the side of my pencil lead. Use the side of the lead now. This can be done fast. This is not detailed. This is, whenever you're not doing detail, you can draw faster. I'm going to cross hatch this to flatten out the background. You can see the textures of the paper. This paper is a mixed medium paper. For all mediums, you can paint on this paper too. And the texture shows through the pencil marks. So I'm going back over it again to darken it, make it look even. Now let's do the right side. I'm going to get my 4B. I don't want it to be as dark as I don't want the left side to be as dark as the right side. But I can see like a stretched shape of this profile. Sort of like an oval shape, but it's stretched. And it's because of the position of the lighting on the right-hand side. And you could do a lot of symbolic things with that feature there, but that's not what we're doing today. That could be a memory, or it could indicate, you know, a whole lot of things. You can get very literal with this, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to sort of show it and keep going. Today, I'm not trying to make a literal statement. It's only to say that I'm observing this bust, this sculpture. That's what we call a head, kids. A sculpture of a head, we call a bust of a head. And even though this plaster is white, you know it's a black person because of the features. And there's another double shadow over here. And I can use my HB pencil to do that. So you're getting these different gradations of shadows with the white plaster in the middle, giving the eye a passageway, if you will, showing the eye how to travel when it's looking at the picture. Everything that you do, has meaning. The little white area under the chin, I don't know if I want to leave that there like that. Let me look at it and see. I don't think I want to leave that little white area. Let's just shade the background on top of the head, make that a little darker, and that will push the whiteness of this bust forward in space. Make it look, give it a little bit more three-dimensionality. We're drawing with graphite. Pencil are considered graphite. I'm going to shade the table too to bring the bust forward. I really want to bring that bust and the pedestal forward in space. So by shading, I'm pushing the table back in space. That's what I want to do. I want to make it look a little bit more 3D. So now I can go back, like I said, with my 6B, my soft lead, very soft lead, and make this darker. The right side is going to be darker than the left side. So we have some variation of grades, because it's a gradation. And that begins to creating a visual language. I'll be saying this a lot more. I'll be talking a lot more like this, because my advanced students, this is what you need to see. On Saturday, we won't be doing advanced stuff no more. We're going to be doing things that everybody need. Even 3-year-olds from 19-year-olds need this. What we're going to do on Saturday, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll do more advanced techniques to play around with. Remember, it's all practice. So now it's just a matter of going back and making some areas dark. Not all areas. I want a variation of lines, but little bits and pieces I'm going to darken just to make this picture pop a little bit and make it sing or speak. And so I'm trying to be careful. Just put a little dark line on the top of this head, and that's going to bring that head forward and also make it look more round. So remember, we're describing the shapes with this project, with this exercise. And we're using light to do that. At this point, knowing when to stop is very important. It's easy to overdo it. You don't have to draw everything. I can't say that too many times. Yes, as I look at that little white space beneath the chin, I need to tone that down. So my hatch marks will tone that down. See how that pushes the entire bus forward? And I'm just going to unify everything now. I'll go back with my HB and on this background here to fill in some of the areas, some of the textured areas. And that's basically going to be it. Go ahead and darken this line again. I'm using the point of my pencil. So just doing little details now just to finish up everything. What do you think? Is it finished? Well, I really enjoyed this, and I thank you for joining me. And remember that art is for everyone. This has been fun. Join me Saturday from 11 to 12, and we'll do another Splash Youth Arts workshop. If you'd like to donate to us, you can see at the bottom of the screen. Just go to our website, splashyouth.artsworkshop.org. Please share this video. You can have watch parties with us. Like us. You can also catch us on YouTube. It's been a pleasure. All right, remember, art is for everyone.